We, we are welcome to today's session on family. So we are kickstarting this series with the topic conscious parenting, raising emotionally intelligent leaders. Today, our speaker is Ogorchukwu Ugolo. Ogorchukwu is a passionate community leader, transformational life coach, and mentor dedicated to empowering newcomer youths and building inclusive, resilient communities. As a program director of the Youth Ambassador Leadership Initiative YALI at PRUDE Inc. in St. John, New Brunswick, she has inspired and is still inspiring young people to embrace leadership, education, and volunteerism, leaving a lasting impact. Ogorchukwu is a recipient of multiple awards, including the recent award received, the Community Spirit Mentoring Award from Big Brother, Big Sisters of St. John. This award exemplified her exceptional contributions to youth and family development in the community. She has a master's degree in public administration and a diverse professional experience spanning Nigeria, Kenya, and Canada, to say the least. She brings with her a well of global perspective to her work. Her expertise in coaching and leadership continues to transform lives by fostering self-awareness, resilience, and purpose in every life she touches. Ogorchukwu, we are very happy and pleased to have you in our midst today. Thank you for accepting to do this within a short period. So you have the floor open for your speech. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Chigozie. I really appreciate it. It's wonderful being around very dynamic and wonderful women in our community. And I feel so blessed and I feel super pleased to be part of this inaugural part of parenting. One of the things that I love about parenting is the aspect of learning, unlearning, and relearning. So I will just share a short story. My life has been in diaspora close to 20 years. And of course, through marriage, I've been outside our home country. And one of the things I started seeing about society is the component that is missing, which has to do with parenting. So I found out that society is family and family is society. So conscious parenting is practically raising emotionally intelligent leaders. So parenting definitely starts with who? When we talk about parenting, it starts with me. It starts with you. So what is conscious? Conscious means being, okay, before I go on to conscious parenting, I want to welcome everyone and let's move on to this icebreaker. So the icebreaker question is, what is leadership? And what leadership qualities do you have as a parent and hope to see in your child? If you can put it on in the chat box, that would be fantastic. Okay. So the question is, what leadership qualities do you have as a parent and hope to see in your child? So has anyone been able to share? So let's see what the qualities are. If we can get like 2 or 3, then we can move on from there. Thank you, Gozie. So we can take just resilience. Yeah. Okay. So resilience, of course, we know.
I see guiding and empowering our children to grow responsibly.
Okay, guiding and empowering.
Yeah. So I see taking initiative and making sound decisions.
Okay. All right. So we can move with that. So first of all, we saw the aspect of resilience, guiding and
confidence.
Okay, 4, confidence. All right. And we've put into cognizance that these are the leadership qualities that we have as parents. All right. And we also want to see them in our children. So let's move on to the next slide. So this webinar objective, what we're going to be doing this evening is, first of all, we want to understand the principles of conscious parenting, being emotionally present to our children and learning the impact of emotional intelligence, the EQ, on leadership. And we explore practical tools for raising emotionally intelligent children. also reflecting on our leadership as a parent. So like I said earlier, that leadership starts with us and parenting first starts with me. So question to ask myself is, what kind of parent am I, and how am I going to embody that in the life of my child with the tools and the resources to impact my child positively? So when we talk about conscious parenting has a lot to do with self-awareness. Understanding that we are not perfect parents, neither are we expecting our children to be perfect. But understand, bringing into reality that we have our strength and we have our weaknesses. So how do we leverage on our strength and building and making progress with our weaknesses? So we know we have to put that self-awareness component, intentional approach to parenting, priorities, prioritizing emotional connection over control, and focusing on mutual respect, empathy, and growth. So when we talk about conscious parenting, it has a lot. First, parenting starts with us. So we understand that our children are learning from us. So we as parents are the first role models, meaning that if we want to put it on hierarchy, we are superior in the sense that, so we have to watch ourselves first. We have to take care of our own emotional state. So intentionality is so critical in conscious parenting, because our children will definitely reflect what we are also what we are actually what I use the word, what we're actually showing to them. So self-awareness is really very critical in our journey as conscious parents. So conscious parenting versus unconscious parenting. So let's put these two things into perspective. So first of all, we are living in the Western world. We came into Canada from our home country. Now, most of us are Nigerians. So we came into Canada from our home country, Nigeria. Some of us were living in different parts of Nigeria, maybe the northern part, the western part, the eastern part, or the southern part. So there are uniqueness with the different demographics and different areas where we have lived. And we should put into cognizance that our own kind of way we were raised as parents has affected us positively or negatively. So whether we have healed, that's another topic altogether, like childhood trauma, hurt, pain, and all of those things. Whether we like it or not, whether we heal or not, it also reflects in our own way we parent and raise our children. Like the typical Nigerian is a shouter, always yelling. And we think that that's the best way to raise our children. But let's see what conscious parenting versus unconscious parenting is. So conscious parenting, meaning that we respond as opposed to reacting. When our children are asking us about something, or there's a difficult or very complicated or challenging situation, which every one of us faces in our homes, when circumstances and situations are challenging, how do we handle it? Are we responsive or are we reactive? That is one aspect as parents. Secondly, we're looking at active listening. Then conscious parenting means commendation. We commend our children, meaning that regardless of what they have, whether it's positive or negative, we have to pay attention to listen to them, to feel and to hear their story. Then commending them. So when we talk about commendation, people want to wait until a child is acing it, getting the best or their best behavior. Even the little things they are doing, we should commend them. Oh, I think you putting your tidy in your room, I feel great that you did it. Oh, you washed the plate, or you were able to mop the floor, and so on and so forth. Then unconscious parenting has a lot to do with the reaction. We keep reacting. So reaction that brings those negative emotions, that comes from anger, that comes from what? Fear. So maybe a lot of parents have gone through some things that has negatively impacted them. So instead of them to see and find a way, how do I overcome the pain or the ache of my own childhood by healing from childhood trauma? Instead, we want to use that issue, that parenting of fear and ego. Ego means that who do you think you are? You want to suppress the child because you feel you have superiority that authority over the child. So at the end of the day, ego is at play. So that power dynamics. Then also the issue of competition. We live in a world whereby everything is validated to competition. Oh, you didn't beat that child. Oh, you didn't beat this. You didn't do that. It's not about competition. It's about the child's inherent competencies. So these are the things that causes lots of friction when we are parenting. Even if we have 2, 3, 4 children, each child is unique and dynamic because their wiring is totally different. And we as parents, we are to readjust ourselves to fit the needs of each child that God has given to us. Even if they are twins, twins are still different. They have their similarities and they have their differences, but we must also embrace our children's similarities and their differences. So first of all, we must come into the place of awareness. Awareness is the first step towards transformation. Until we know who we are as parents, it will be difficult for us to give to our children or to impact them positively. So what we don't have, we can't give to them. So why emotional intelligence matters? So emotional intelligence includes self-awareness, self-regulation, motivation, empathy, and social skills. So moving from self-awareness, meaning that I, Ogorchukwu, these are my triggers. When this, if I'm tired, I don't think I want to do this. So that is my personality. So when I'm tired, I'll say, hey, everybody at home, I'm tired at this point in time. I don't think that's the time you should ask me about your homework, or you should ask me about this or that. Just trying to find an even ground to break in so that everyone understands that, hey, this is what she's capable or incapable of. So understanding who we are, then self-regulation. Now everyone deals with the issues of anger, but how we deal with anger and conflict matters a lot in the life of our own children. So self-regulation is very critical. Motivation, how we motivate our children, is either we motivate them or we kill their confidence. Then empathy and social skills. All these are very important components when we are talking about emotional intelligence because they matter in our homes and as parents. So, and we know that emotional quotient is superior to intelligent quotient. Intelligent quotient is fantastic, but emotional embodies both the emotional component and the intelligence component all put in one, because once we are able to connect with our children emotionally, we are able to correct them. We cannot correct a child that we have not connected with. So that's why many children go out to misbehave, because they're actually seeking the attention of their parents. So that's where emotional quotient is superior to just intelligent quotient. And for long-term success, emotional component is very critical. So why emotional intelligence? It also builds confidence, resilience, and inclusive leaders. So the parent as a leader, like I said earlier, being in life, living life in diaspora, I can share about my life in different parts of the world. So, but I talk more about my life in here in Canada, talk about my life in the US, talk about my life in Kenya and other parts. But the parent as a leader, as parents, we are leaders. We keep leading our children. So our children, the first point of call is they look up to us. So as parents, parents are a child's first leader. That's what they see, what they see every day at home. So if we want our child to behave well, we must exemplify that. If we want our child to emotionally regulate themselves, we must exemplify that in our homes. So we are also their mentors and we are their emotional mirror. How do I handle conflict in my home or conflict around my own personal life? Those are the things that they copy from. So our behavior, your behavior models leadership, resilience, and compassion. So every day, I ask myself, how has my behavior modeled leadership, resilience, and compassion in the life of my children? And I said earlier, you cannot teach what you haven't embodied, meaning that we cannot give what we don't have. So as parents, mostly living life in diaspora life is very daunting. They're now living in different parts of the world. So that was one of the things that made me more conscious when it comes to parenting. Because whether we like it or not, whether we teach our children or not, they are learning something. Whether we teach them the positive or we teach them the negative, or we don't even tell them anything, whether passive, active, or inactive parenting, because we know the different components of parenting. We have active parents, we have passive, and we have those ones who are not even involved at all. So all these impact our children positively or negatively. So we must come to terms to ask ourselves that, how do I want to impact my home first, starting with my children before I take it to the world? So tools for conscious parenting. We must practice mindfulness, living in the conscious. Now, an example is when I just said use the word angry, or when I'm tired, or when I'm hungry. They always say these words. A hungry man is an angry man. If you are hungry, for example, I'm not sure that's the best time where we are at our peak, where we can do things, consciously and doing things effectively. So the tools for conscious parenting, we must practice mindfulness and emotional regulation. These components are very key because our children will learn, they will learn and build expertise in the things they've learned from what we have shown or what we have taught them. So one aspect, I know lots of parents, they want to teach, oh, as a child, you should stay still. Oh, as a child, you should be respectful. Question to ask ourselves, how respectful are we? How tamed are we? And how do we carry ourselves? Because whether we say it or we don't say it, our children are learning from us. Another thing is validate your child's emotion without judgment. Children go through stuff. I'm sure as we're growing up as children, we were going through stuff, and their own stage is even more complicated. Why? Adding technology. So a lot of children come into life in diaspora that they were not prepared for. A lot of children come into the Western world that they were never prepared for. A lot of children come into using technology, using phone and using computers that they were not prepared for. Nobody prepared them. No parent told them the rules, the norms, and the pros and the cons. Nobody told them. They just handed these gadgets. As good as they are also very dangerous, and they are killers of destinies as well. So giving them these things, giving them tools, but nobody told them, show them, how do I use this tool to leverage to my advantage as opposed to my disadvantage? So another thing again about conscious parenting is setting boundaries with empathy. Setting boundaries is a very key component. A lot of people, parents, seem to be afraid. Parenting has a lot to do with courage. You tell your child, this is our family vision. This is our blueprint. This is our family vision. It doesn't matter what house A, B, C is doing. This is what we have decided as a family to do in our home. This is our blueprint, our vision from God. And this is how we want to run our home. So it doesn't matter whether A or B or C, because the world has so much noise. So we must make sure that we are all in tune with what our family vision and mission is. And that's the way we can set the boundaries. Oh, for example, maybe in your home, you say, in my home, you are not allowed to go for parties after 9 p.m. So that is a standard in your home. So no matter what anybody is trying to parade, you're like, no, this is what we stand for. And the child will know because you set the boundary. By this time, you cannot cross this boundary. You must be home, for example. Or when you go out, you're not supposed to take things from people. So when you go out, you say, until my parents permit me. That is setting a boundary with empathy by showing the child. Another thing is setting another boundary. When you see an adult, how do you greet them? You see an adult, do you just walk past them as if they don't exist, as if they're not human beings? But it starts with our home. When our children wake up in the morning, do they greet us as parents? When they greet us? So after greeting us, you say, by the time you greet me as a parent, when you go to school, you should be able to greet your teacher. You should be able to greet those who are elders or senior to you when you step out of the house. All these are boundaries with empathy. So you're not reprimanding them. You are not scolding them. We're only setting boundaries from the place of empathy, putting them in your shoes. So strategies to build EQ in children. We encourage emotional vocabulary. When we talk about emotional vocabulary, we're talking about a child using words that shows their feeling. Maybe they feel hungry or they feel sad. Maybe they went to school and they didn't have any sense of belonging. Maybe when they went to school, they were sitting by themselves and nobody was their friend. And of course, we know that every human being longs from that social component. But we are not seeing that part. And the child comes And we have to encourage our children to be able to express themselves. I feel sad, or I went to school and this happened. This boy or this girl or this teacher said this, and I think I really don't appreciate it. Then we are able to call our children to order. Oh, is that what they said to you? Or how do I make my child feel better bring them out of that sad situation? All right. So encouraging emotional vocabulary is very critical. Let the child be able to express without fear that I don't feel good about this particular thing. I see children every now and then come, oh, my parents are actually forcing me to do science, but I don't like science. I said, have you had that conversation with them? Or my parents are forcing me to do sports, but I want to do music. Or my parents are forcing me to do basketball when it's soccer I want to do. Giving children that space, that safe space, is called a safe space where we can encourage emotional vocabulary is very critical. So another one is practice active listening. We must pay attention. I always use this word that when a child wants to tell you something that pertains to their life, we must put everything down to listen to them. Sometimes we may not have the immediate answer, but as adults, we can reflect and we can research and we can ask questions from people who have been through or experts. Like one of the things I used to do when we were living in different parts of the world, I always looked for people who have exemplified the kind of qualities and the kind of things I want to see in my home. So I see someone who has raised sane and sound children. I try to connect with them and start asking, oh, if your child, or if this or that, because maybe going to a new country, everything is new. What the dynamics in Canada is different from the dynamics in the United States. It's different from the dynamics if you were in England or if you were in some other parts of the world. So finding out those things and also doing lots of research. So we have to practice active listening, then teach problem solving, because that's the only way children feel better and more confident when they solve a problem that has been affecting them. Same like every other person. If you were struggling about like a technology and you solve the issue about technology, you feel good. You feel you feel you've succeeded. It's a great milestone. So we must teach our children problem solving and also gratitude and empathy. The aspect of gratitude, making every child understand that our homes are dynamic. So what ABC has is different from what we have, but we must be grateful for everything that we have as a parent. So that way it helps the child to be content. So gratitude helps us to feel that sense of contentment. In a fast-paced world where everyone wants to grab, everybody wants to buy, everybody wants to own, everybody wants to have, this is where gratitude as a family and raising children that shows gratitude is very critical. And gratitude that leads to what? Contentment. Oh, ABC may have this. I don't need it because at this point in time, this is what we as a family can afford, or this is what is important to us, and this is what is meaningful to us. Also showing sense of empathy, whereby where there is conflict resolution and everyone can also come from the place of forgiveness. Also, strategies to build EQ in children, daily check-ins. Can also teach our children, get a journal, write. Because some of us are working and some people are home, whichever way, write. Tell me how you feel on Monday, or what are the things that you think will be better handled or better done that will impact them positively. So let them write, be in the habit of journaling all of those things about their life. So reflection quickly. So Gozie, you're going to help me with this as well. So we're going to paint a scenario where a child, let's say my child is overwhelmed and shuts down. How do we respond to that child? If people can help us on the chat box, that will really help a lot. Let's make it interactive, please. So my child is overwhelmed and shuts down. How do I respond to that child as a parent?
First one is close attention and active listening.
Okay, close attention and active listening. Good.
There's another one, having an open communication with that child and listening actively.
Having an open communication with that child And listening, and active listening.
Yes.
All right. And the last one.
So this one says, depends on my mood. It's really frustrating sometimes, but I try to take him aside and give him time to express himself.
Fantastic. Depends on my mood, because we are also moody. As you have your moods and your times, right? As parents. So, but I like the aspect of setting them aside. So all the answers are
So
fantastic. But like,
there's another one, showing concern and making the child feel heard.
okay, showing concern
Yeah.
and making the child fantastic, making the child feel
Feel
held.
heard.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
All these are fantastic components, because when we talk about active listening, meaning that you're feeling what they feel, that's why you're listening to them. So whether they are saying what is the good, the bad, the ugly, ours as parents, because like I said, we are the parents, they are the children. Our children are not parents. We are parents and helping children. So when we are helping our children, meaning that no matter how I feel, I may not feel the best of the best, but I must reinvent myself to be able to support my child's pain, because the child is becoming. We are formed. We can actually adjust to many things as opposed to their own life, because we don't want them to have pain, injury, and all of those hurts like childhood traumas. So how do we help? Those open conversation, asking them open-ended question. Might you try, do you think taking a bath at this point in time would help your mood of being overwhelmed? Or is there something more we want to discuss? For me, naturally, I would like, do you know what? I'll give you some time. My child is overwhelmed. I'll give you some time. I'll say, I think we can talk it over in the next 30 minutes to 60 minutes. I think just, it's okay. Just feel, and it's actually absolutely fine for the child to feel the way they feel, because they're human beings. And it's okay for them to feel overwhelmed, because we also feel overwhelmed as well, and they're shutting down. But how we respond to them, we give them the sense of whether they are going to come back to us to talk about issues about around their life, or they look for a friend, or they look for, and of course, not all friends are friends. They'll talk to a stranger. They'll talk to people who do not deserve, who are not deserving of your child's life or their voice. So at the end of the day, we are pushing them out and pushing them outside by what? Our neglect of not listening or not paying attention to their needs. So I want us, if there are questions and answers, I really want to go into the question and answer comments, and from there we are going to find out what some key takeaways from today's session. And honestly, today we can't do everything. There's so many components. Like when Gozia was talking to me about this, I said, I'm going to jump into it. I have so much to be doing, but I said, we're going to start this and moving on, because we've lived, a couple of us have lived our life in diaspora. I think with our own skill set and our learnings, we should be able to help other parents who are coming new. I know some parents are coming directly. Maybe they've never stayed or gone to any parts of the world before. But people who have lived in diaspora, I think, and have lived right, they should be able to support in this venture and this conversation. So I want questions. If we have possible questions and comments, that would be fantastic as well.
Okay. Good evening, everyone, and thank you to our amazing presenter today. It's a very interesting topic we are talking about today. This is a very key, conversation that every woman living, whether you're living in diaspora or you're living in your home country, you really need to listen to kids of today, given the technological advancement and things we see in our world today. Having said so, I'm always in between being an African mom and a diasporian mom. And I want to ask you, as an expert in this industry, in this field, what do you think, or at what point do you think you'll wear your African woman or mom cap versus when you wear your diasporian mom cap? Because the reason why I've raised this question is because I, as a person, believe that our own African way is still very, very good. Most of us who have been raised probably under a teacher or an educator or strict or disciplinarian parents, you can see the result of who you are today in your life versus working mom that's never available, that is never there, that doesn't even know what you're doing on day-to-day basis. Now finding ourselves here and knowing that we fall into mostly the categories of never being around. Dad is working, mom is working, children are there by themselves. The few minutes you have, you jump in, you jump out. What point do you think I need to be strict at this point and I need to be calm at this point? That's my question to you. And thank you again for this opportunity for us to have you here.
Thank you so much, Joy. I really love your questions, and thank you. I thank you for your kind words. When you talk about having the African mom cap, I have never shifted from being an African mom. African mom cap is one of the best caps that fits the generation we are talking about. So the only difference is you still have to raise your children with those principles. Like, I am Nigerian, my children are American, but I am Nigerian. So having those Nigerian components, the component of, hey, this is what we stand for, our values. So every home, like I said, our homes are different. There's no one size fits all home because dynamics are different. So what is meaning and what is value to us is different from different people, right? At different points in time. So the African component of raising a child, I don't bend from it. When a child is wrong, we have to call the child to order. When a child sees an elder, the child needs to respect. Because I don't just teach youth, I also teach youth in the community. I also teach youth in church. So one of the things, children will just walk. You see an adult, you want to push an adult off the staircase. Hey, our time, you don't dare it. An adult is walking on the staircase. You have to stand on the side until the adult has passed. But this generation, because they don't know, because nobody is teaching them, nobody is telling them, calling those things, is paid is paid. Then another thing that happens, I can remember vividly our life in the US, when a lot of parents want to be more Western than the West. And that's where the conflict comes in. My children will not call an adult the C. They'll call you sir and ma. It does not matter as long as you senior. I see them even in their school, sir, ma. Even when they say they don't want it, my children will still say it. We're not bending it, because if they stop saying it to a particular person, then it starts eroding. So wherever they go, good afternoon, sir, and good afternoon, ma. Let the teacher decide. That's their business. But this is how I am raised. And that's one of the things that we should understand, that Canada also embraces diversity. So even when you come with that component of respect, they know that the child is trying to bring that sense of respect that, hey, you're older than me. And that's why you're calling me sir or ma. Some people may not like it, but that is the way they're brought up. They can't change it. So we stick to those values. This is sir and ma. All right, that is one aspect. Then when I mean life in diaspora, the Western world, meaning that the way we just beat children, see, beating a child without the child changing is a waste. Beating a child without the child learning is a waste. Before we even say we want to strike or beat our child, first of all, let's remove the aspect of anger. We have regulated ourselves. So I'm disciplining you, because most times in Nigeria, every word is punishment. So we try to make it sound better, because we're not punishing, because it's not like servitude or you're trying to degrade or demean a child. We're only disciplining the child because we want the child to move from point A to point B, to be better in behavior and in character, because behavioral matters are deeper than any other thing. They can learn anything. They can learn to ace their science, their maths, their everything. They can learn, and those things are learnable skills, just like technical skills. But behavioral skills, character skills are deeper. So those are the things that we must follow them step by step. And those things, we don't bend it. So you don't say hi to an adult, or you just walk past an adult, you have to greet. Then some aspect of, let's say, diaspora versus African, even the their consumption. African parents know that it's not everything that you must consume. Whether it is eating, some of the things we eat are not good. So it's not everything you consume. And it's not everything you wear. It's not everything you partake from. Let's give an example. An African typical home knows that if you're in Nigeria, you won't let your child go for a party if, for example, after a particular time, being a child, and it's not everywhere you go to. And it's okay, because that's what you stood for as a principal in your home. And when you tell your child, you're not, in fact, they know that on this level, I'm not, my family does not support this. I can't be here. This is where I am supposed to be at this time. And once it crosses that time, hey, the child will say, I need to be home, because you've already set those rules, those boundaries in love and empathy. So those are the components that we cannot remove that African thing from our parenting. We are Africans, and we can't be anything less than Africans. We must stand to our African roots, and we cannot let them forget their roots. So we stand strong to our roots, but we must modify the things that we have learned from our parents. Of course, not everything we learned from our parents were perfect. Our parents tried to be the best they could, but they were not perfect parents. Neither are we. I'm not even a perfect mom, but I am a mom that is every day evolving to be the best version of myself, so that I can exemplify in the life of my kids. No matter how expert we are, we also have our shortcomings. But how do we help our children in their journey? Because theirs is more complicated with the use of social media and technology and all of those things at their disposal. So we can have like a media time. You are not supposed to use your gadget. You are not supposed to be pressing your phone when you're talking to an adult. You cannot do this at this time. At this time, you're supposed to be sleeping. At this time, you're supposed to be doing this. All those are rules. It doesn't matter who you are. As long as you are under the roof of the house, you must adhere to those rules. Then when they move out of your house as children, they would have been able to, some of those values must have been instilled in them. Then they can take on in their bigger world.
We have another question here. Someone is asking, what do you have for parents who are raising special children?
Okay, good. So parents who are raising special children, special in what way? Is it special needs? Like
special needs? I believe it's special needs children, yeah.
Okay, so special needs children, maybe like the ADHD and all of that stuff. I think they have tools and resources in the community. So those things, special needs children, if they are going through like maybe hypersensitive and all of that, finding those tools and experts, they have people who are skilled for that. And I think they have special schools. So if a child has some of those conditions, they may not learn in the regular environment where every other child is learning. They can be there. But as a parent, you already know that my child has special needs. So how do I support the child beyond what they give to them at school? So that's where the emotional component is very critical. So understanding the child and helping the child, but there are tools and resources that we can also get. They are online as well. So how do I raise maybe a child that has ADHD or a child that has Down syndrome, all of those things? There are tools and resources. But the most important is coming from the place of empathy, feeling for the child and working through with the child. Because I remember some parts, some parents would just dump their children in a place where the people there is no school that can take better care of your child better than you as a parent. So supporting them, I know at some point you want to breathe, you also want to rest, and it can be overwhelming. But once the child comes back to you, that empathetic part as a parent, the cuddling, the touching, the feeling, and helping the children. Of course, we have different love languages. So one of the love languages that we give our children is the hug and the touch. It's really critical. So the touch, mostly when they have 0 to 7, I say 0 to 7 is the formative years of every child. When the child feels loved, they carry their love everywhere, and they don't feel intimidated about any other thing, no matter whatever anyone is doing, because they form that solid connection with you as a parent. The touch, the washing, the bathing. Like a lot of parents who have come with little children now, they have a very good opportunity. Unlike in Nigeria, where they had lots of nannies and people, driver, everybody doing different things for them because of the fast pace as well. And they had relatives. But here you have to do it yourself, and you're super blessed. But a lot of them look at me like I'm crazy. They're super blessed because they're doing it by themselves. And that's when they get the best of the connection with their kid to help them. But there are tools and resources that can help people in the community. Yeah.
Thank you, Ogorchukwu. So I would like to say thank you once again, Ogorchukwu, for kind of agreeing to do this within a short period of time. We actually overstretched you to do this, but you still had the time, made out the time to do this. But I'll tell you that we are not letting you go in a hurry. Just like we said, we've started a series for you. So this is just you introducing this conscious parenting for us, because I know we have a lot in this and you've not touched it. This is just a tip of the iceberg. So we're expecting more series within the coming months on this. Say the little notes, nuggets to take away. We have to embrace our children's similarities and differences.
Yeah.
And it's all captured in self-understanding, self-regulation, motivation, and empathy and social skills. Thank you. This is quite, most times you think you've learned all of it in parenting, but I'm just finding out that after close to 2 decades in parenting, you've not learned anything. We are just learning, and it's a continuous education when it comes to parenting. So, Ogorchukwu, you will be reaching out to you for more on this, and all of us will keep out an eye for more series, not family or any other topic. Thank you all for joining, and thank you for sparing the time to join today.
Thank you.